Hello, hello.
Hi again. And Rania just joined. And we have only 4
Okay, the
minutes to
final
go.
countdown. No, it's not the final countdown. 4 minutes. Okay. Yeah,
It's the initial
yeah.
countdown
And I
because there
see
will be
people coming
many.
in.
So people are coming in. Welcome. Thank you for coming in and
Hello,
thank you for
hello, and
joining.
welcome.
Home Away from Home Experiences. We're still waiting for
Yes,
Rania. Wow, so many
yes, and
people.
so many,
Write your comments, write your
and so
questions. So we're
many
so
people
happy
of you. I
to have you
recognize you,
here.
beautiful ladies. Hello, I'm so glad you're here. This is going to be in English, as I announced before, because we have a big international crowd and we're hoping everybody will be here for a live discussion to get to know each other and to start really talking about parenting. Hello, Rania. Nice seeing you.
I managed to join
Yes.
you. Nice to see you.
Great.
You know the funny thing, Lisa, everyone is right now is celebrating Valentine's Day, under the romantic umbrella of Valentine's. And we're celebrating our endless
Yes,
and most inspirational love, right?
exactly.
The love for our
And
kids.
let me tell you, having lived in the US for many, many years, I was surprised at first to see that Valentine's, it's not, they don't celebrate it the way we do in Greece. It's really not about love between lovers, between husband and wife, between dates. It's the true love you feel for your friends. It's love, appreciation, and gratitude for your friends, your teachers, the people you love, and the people who are close to you. So, in that sense, yes, we're celebrating in a different, more general way, and love should be celebrated every day, I think.
Yeah,
Because
that's
that's
true.
that's an
That's true.
important thing.
I think that's the most important thing, love, right? I mean, it's the different kinds of love. There's not only
Many,
one love,
many
there's so
different
many different
styles of
kinds of
love,
love.
different styles of parenting, and and
I have to write. Some people have joined for the live video. Okay, now thank you. Evgenia was the one, but she knows how to use technology and she just left. Thank you, Evgenia.
yeah,
Welcome and
I'm
thank you
glad
for
that
coming.
people are trickling in little by little. People are joining. Hopefully, you're gonna write your comments and you're gonna write your questions. We need 1 more minute to go to start officially. So let's wait for this 1 minute. And then we're gonna talk about parenting and how that's one of our most important roles. And I see here we're mostly moms. We don't have any dads yet. Yeah.
Let's hope
Or
we'll have
else, we're
some.
gonna go back and tell them. And next time we'll have a live, dads will join too.
It's okay. We start with the moms and then
Exactly.
we go on. We continue with the
Exactly that.
dads. We need
Well,
to convince the
I
dads.
think
We
dads are
still
involved too. Sometimes they're more hesitant and less willing to join discussions like that because they usually feel singled out or they kind of have a sense of guilt perhaps that they're not doing enough. But here we're not to judge anyone. And we are going to talk officially. It's 6 o'clock. So we're starting. Welcome everyone. Should we do introductions?
Yes, I think Rania will do the introduction for Home Away from Home Experiences.
Welcome.
Go ahead.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this live Instagram session. We are Rania and Maria, the founders of Home Away from Home Experiences. We have established a company which is dedicated to fostering a vibrant intercultural community in Greece. And we offer curated experiences to both expatriates, foreigners, and locals. And we also are very active on our website. We have an intercultural magazine where you can read an array of articles which are related to living in Greece and how expatriates can feel comfortable in their new homes. Today we have the honor to welcome here on our platform Dr. Liza Varvogli. Dr. Varvogli is a distinguished psychologist and a psychotherapist. She's an adjunct professor at the School of Medicine at the Kapodistrian University of Athens, an associate professor of psychology at the Hellenic American University, and she's very much involved into the field of adolescent health and medicine. She's also a member of the publishing board and faculty of the UNESCO Health and Medicine. Health and Medicine. Oh, I mean, the titles are endless.
Long.
Yes, the link is endless. And above, she's also a graduate, and she brings light. She can bring light to many subjects which interest us parents. So today we're going to talk about the different styles of parenting. And Dr. Varvogli, would you like to start telling us about
Yes.
the different styles that there are?
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for your kind words and beautiful introduction. I feel very honored to be here. I've been an expat myself twice, actually, living in the States for a long time. And here I am back. And although I'm not an expat in my country, sometimes, carrying a different culture, a different experience can get in the way. And that's why I thought it's really important to talk about parenting, because that's one of the most rewarding yet challenging journeys in our life. Back in the olden days, people would just have kids, and their main scope, the main goal was to have their kids survive. Now, fast forward many years, that was my grandfather's generation. Fast forward many years, we want our children to thrive, not just survive, because that's kind of taken for granted. So, having said that, we know that how important it is to be parents, how much of a true impact we have on our children, not with what we say or just that, but also with what we do as parents. And it's also essential to realize that there is no kind of one style of parenting fits all. Every family is different. Every kid is different. Kids have unique needs, unique ideas, unique personalities, and so do we. So what happens is we need to find the best match. And sometimes it's not about being the best parent, but being the good enough parent, the parent who's enough for their kid. So letting go of perfectionism, I welcome you all to talk about being parents in a time where being a parent is rather difficult. And it's also hard being a kid nowadays. So please, as I start talking, I would like you to write your comments, your questions, and get into this discussion, because we truly want to have a discussion that everybody will take a little something, a small bite-sized information, or maybe some insight about their parenting style. And let's start by saying that people start wanting to do their best. And sometimes we do want to do our best, and yet there is something that gets in the way, things that happen. We get hurried, our kids might have difficulties, life gets in the way, and we don't do what we wanted to do initially. And I'm going to talk a little bit about two parenting styles that we see very much in the Western world, and they come from sheer love. Parents do these two parenting styles that I'm going to introduce because they adore their kids, and they want the best for their kids. So they resort to these types of parenting. They are not necessarily bad, but they can be really detrimental to a child if we're not mindful, if we don't take the good pieces of these parenting styles and we just proceed to do them just like that. I wonder if you've heard about the helicopter parenting. That's a buzzword that many people have used a lot. And I'm not quite sure if people know exactly what it means. Of course, it's not a scientific term, it's more of a playful term that we use to help us understand something that we all do. And sometimes, to a lesser or more degree, we all start hovering like a helicopter over our kids to see, what are you doing? Are you doing it right? No, 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 don't do it this way. I'm going to tell you how to do it. It's a term, helicopter parenting is a buzzword, so to speak, a term that we use to describe a style of parenting where parents are overly involved in the children's lives, often to the point, as I said before, of hovering, of being all the time above their heads. In Greek, we have this expression, and we say, don't stand above my head, don't hover over me, because that can be sometimes very anxiety provoking. Helicopter parents tend to be highly controlling and protective and loving, especially loving. But what they do is they micromanage the children's activities and even decisions. They try to shield their children from any negative experience, even minor ones. Of course, they want to prevent any negative consequences, such as failure or disappointment or heartbreak. And while helicopter parenting is often done with the best of intentions, we have to recognize that it can actually be detrimental to a child's development. Now we know. Yes.
Lisa, I have a question. How can a parent become a helicopter parent? I mean, I've been abroad several times. I've lived in different countries, and there was always this agony about my children. You know, every time changing schools, changing different environments, and I was always thinking, do I leave them free to experience the world, and whatever comes with that comes with that? You know, you take a risk. Or do I try to protect them? And then I was thinking, no, I will let them free because this is the way I was brought up. So I was thinking, do we repeat the same patterns that our parents,
It's
you know, raised
it's
us
an
with
interesting
sometimes? Or
it's an
does it come from our own
interesting question.
insecurities?
And I think I'm gonna reply in a very generic way that it all depends. Sometimes, and you already said it, it's our anxiety, especially when we parent in a different country or in a totally new situation where we don't feel secure, we don't feel 100% safe. We wanna hover over our kids to save them. We want to make sure they're not going to be hurt. We have in our minds, oh, they've already changed cities or countries or continents. So that's hard enough to our kids. Let's not add that another burden. Let me save my kid. Let me kind of make sure that I'm watching closely to make sure. And that is a thing. Sometimes we do what our parents did to us because that's our default way. We do as we were told. We basically replicate our own experience because that's easy to do. It's like the automatic pilot. We get into it, and then even though sometimes we might have sworn to ourselves, I'm not going to be like my mom, I'm not going to do what my dad did, but guess what? We do exactly the same thing because we don't think, because we don't do conscious parenting, and we haven't reparented ourselves. But that's another big discussion that I think we're gonna save for another time, especially if people are interested in that. But I think, yeah, people tend to choose what seems to be familiar to them, so we will do what was done to us. Or when people have a very traumatic experience, sometimes they go all the way to the opposite side and do the exact opposite.
So for those who relate with the helicopter parent or with some traits of the helicopter parent, it doesn't mean that, we put the label helicopter parent and that's it. What are the tips that you are suggesting that they could start using to, release themselves from the fear of
Yeah, and as you
over-controlling?
said, the key word here is fear. Sometimes we're afraid about things that haven't happened. That's the definition of anxiety. We worry about the future, about things we imagine are going to happen, but they haven't happened, and maybe they won't happen ever. That's a fear, that's a thought. Once you realize that our thoughts live in our heads and it's not the reality, I think that helps us, gain some distance between what we're afraid of and our reality. So perhaps then we think, what is an appropriate independent thing that my kid can do? Obviously, that has different answers. But we do allow our kids to be independent. We want them to have a degree of independence according to their age so that they can start using problem solving skills. Helicopter parents do exactly that. They do not allow their kids to develop problem solving skills. So these kids kind of expect the parent to be right there, behind them, above them, and solve the problem. What's going on? It
So it starts
starts with
with
the
the homework,
homework.
doing
It
their
starts
homework.
with don't play with this kid. I've heard that actually. I've heard parents advising their kid not to play with that other little boy or little girl because they were expats and they were only going to be there for a couple of years. Yes, I see. Yes.
Oh, someone is saying that there is a problem with the sound. Could you please look into it? Yes, I'm really trying here. We cannot hear you very well. Who is it that you cannot hear? Can you hear me now speaking? Please, someone answer. And then,
I
no?
wonder if you need maybe to turn off your microphones and speak one person at a time.
Yes, please try to mute yourselves, everyone. Mute yourselves, please.
Oh, the first time is always technical problems. I can't mute myself because I'm speaking now. Look at that. Well, woman,
Rania, mute yourself now while Lisa is speaking, so I
Well,
can mute
before
myself as
asking
well.
something that I have in mind, so can we say that helicopter parents are not only, under the pretext of protectiveness, instead of being protective, they are coercive in a sense?
they could be coercive, they could be controlling, it could be, yes, all kinds of different things. And that's why I think any parent and every parent, and I include myself in this, we need to kind of look inside and see who we are and what we need and what characteristics we bring to our family. And once we realize that, then we can start making small moves, different things to allow ourselves, of course, to be our authentic selves and help our kids. Because that's the ultimate goal, Ranyamu, I think, to help our kids become independent, to stand emotionally and cognitively on their own 2 feet, to be able to handle life as it comes. It would be, of course, fantastic and amazing if there was no problem for any kid and no difficulty, but that's not realistic. So if we want to be realists, then we have to reconsider, do I want to be the helicopter parent who kind of does everything for my kid? Because if we do that, then we're losing the balance between being involved and being overly controlling. And sometimes we human beings tend to think in opposites, black or white. And we think, oh, I either have to be very involved, and if I'm not, that means that it's nothing. I'm not doing anything. That's not true. We can be involved, yet leave some healthy distance for our kid to experience different experiences, for our kid to experience how it is to forget the homework without us running or reminding them from Sunday night that they have homework due on Wednesday or whatever. We need to let them see the consequences, because once they see the consequences, then they're going to live up to them next time. And they're going to remember what happened, and they're going to be able not to do it again. And that's 1,000 times more powerful than nagging, than doing it for them, or maybe punishing or threatening the kid. And of course, when I say let the kid, live with the consequences, obviously I'm not talking about any kind of danger, and I'm not talking about life or death situations. I'm talking about small things here.
Grade, losing face in class, let's say, because sometimes we don't want our children to face. We get into their shoes and we feel bad for them. So we should let them lose face
Yeah.
sometimes if they want to. Yeah.
But losing face, I think that's something that we teach children that exists. You're right. Because kids don't have this concept unless somebody points this out and they tell them, shame on you, you didn't hand in your homework, shame on you. All the other ninth graders got an A in their math test and you didn't study, and look at you, you got a C. We say that.
Yeah, yeah,
The kid doesn't.
definitely. We implant that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally
So,
agree.
so perhaps, okay, and that's a case in point where we need to talk to our teenager, if that's the case, or a younger kid, it doesn't matter, and sit down and really inquire and figure out, what did you have, asking them, why did you take a C? Obviously, is not going to get the discussion very far. But if we show curiosity, I'm just wondering, why what crossed your mind when you make the decision not to study? Or was it hard? You don't have to answer me right now. We can give them the space, especially to a teenager. I just want you to think a little bit and figure out for yourself what got in the way and you didn't study the way you should. I know you're able to do it, yet you got this C, and now you're upset about it. Okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's someone who has his microphone or her microphone or their microphone open. So please mute yourselves because we keep on hearing this sound. Thank
So
you.
basically, what we really want to do is allow our kids to experience small doses of failure, little bit, even in the first grades of elementary school. Because when they do that, and when they experience failure, then they're able to learn, I need to handle it better next time. And that's where we need to be involved, but that's not helicopter parenting. That's actually being there to give them the skills, the coping tools, the mechanisms, and the foresight to figure out how to deal with difficult situations. And once we do that, whether it is in the elementary years, whether it is in the middle school, or even the high school years, our kid is going to get a lifetime gift, and they're going to be equipped to deal with life's difficulties. So we do need to do it as early as we can, without waiting for our kids to get into college, or to become adults and somehow figure it out when they're adults. It's a lot harder. Oh, I'm wondering, do I say everything that clearly and nobody has any question or any comment? Or is it so complicated what I'm talking about that nobody dares to ask?
I think that everyone, because this is what I'm doing, everyone is reflecting on what you're saying and trying to figure out, am I a helicopter parent? Am I not? Am I, it's
Yes,
Pooja
thank
is
you.
saying very interesting. Thank you, Pooja. Welcome. Pooja is from London. She
Oh,
connected from
beautiful.
London, Lisa, and she's figuring out right now how to come and live in Athens. So she will be here with us in
Great.
March, and looking
If we can
forward
be
to
of any
seeing her.
help, we're here to help out in any way we can. And it's so nice what you
Of
said,
course
that
we
we
are.
are all reflecting if we're helicopter parents. Sometimes it doesn't mean, of course, that we are 100% of the time, but perhaps sometimes what we do is we do it 80% of the time or 70% of the time, or we tend to do this helicopter parenting only in special occasions, for example, around school or around sports or in one specific area, and we tend to do that time and again to help our kid. Now we need to reflect. Perhaps if we do it 80% of our time, maybe we want to think and do it 70%. Because there are no magic buttons, there are no magic wands to say, abracadabra, I'm going to be a different parent starting tomorrow. But when we start being intentional about things and we make our minds to do things differently, then we can start working with that. And then we can start doing things differently, one step at a time. And doing things in a different way, it's certain that we're going to get different results, surprising results, because we're going to see our kids, picking up, being able to do more things, becoming more independent, becoming more able to handle life's difficulties. There are life's difficulties, perhaps.
But Lisa, this requires to step out
Yes,
from our comfort zone,
I
right? So we need to work with
believe that.
ourselves as well. Because one thing figuring out,
Mm-hmm.
that I'm a little bit of a helicopter parent or of another type of parent that we will talk after this. But, if we don't start working a little bit with ourselves, it's not going
We
to be
always
easy,
need to do
right?
that,
So,
definitely, because we all have our experiences, how we were parented as kids. We have perhaps our own wounds, our own stressors. Everybody has a different personality, different dynamics in their families. So yes, we do need to take all that into account, be a little bit more gentle with ourselves and more reflective as to what it is that we want to accomplish. I find very often that all parents, of course, want the best for their kids, if you ask them. Yet, when we ask, so how are you going about it? Parents do not necessarily tell you that they do the best thing. They don't take the best approach out of ignorance, lack of information. Maybe they're hired themselves. Who knows? It could be anything. But they do that.
Pooja is saying, I have found this with my daughter, and as she has joined secondary school, she has taken more control, forcing me to transition
Yeah, oh,
away from
Pooja.
the helicopter style.
Pooja,
Strong
that
daughter,
might be
Pooja.
hard because when you're the helicopter parent, sometimes it feels very an alienating experience, and it can feel lonely for a parent, to be very close to their kid and then realize that, oh my gosh, my kid doesn't need me anymore or doesn't want me anymore. They don't want me to meddle in their lives and they want to do things by themselves. And that's all right because that's not a rejection. And I know many helicopter parents lament that fact and they think they're being rejected by their kid. And I want to assure you, it's not that at all. It can feel lonely, but you've also given your daughter lots of skills, lots of tools and security to be able to say, hey, mom, now you step out and I'm stepping in and I'm going to do the work. And it's so beautiful to be able to see our kids doing exactly that.
We have our first question from Athena. Hi, Athena. Athena is a very good friend of mine, and she's also a life coach. So we will have Athena very soon in other discussions that we will going to have. She's asking, is helicopter parenting contagious? I find myself sometimes being influenced by other parents and become more protective with my kids. She has a great sense of humor, that's for sure. And
I'm sorry,
that's a
Maria,
great
but
question.
you
Athena, we
have
want
the
more
same thing in
questions.
mind that sometimes, it's the society's pressure, especially the pressure put upon mothers to act in a certain way. So sometimes parents would like to let their children be more independent, but then they think that they will be judged by others doing so. So they adopt a more protective style to be in accordance with what their roles should be. Do you know what I mean?
It is contagious, exactly that.
Yeah,
Because people fear, we adults fear the judgment of others,
that's not.
fear their opinion of us. We fear that we're going to lose face, that we're going to be ashamed, and we start feeling guilty before even opening our mouths sometimes. And you see that very often when I run parenting groups, officially formal ones or less formal ones, and I start asking a question. And the question might be, it could be anything. Do you yell at your kids, or does your 2-year-old come and sleep in your bed? And most parents in the beginning would stay mute and they would, shake their heads no. And once I say, because I do that sometimes, or it happens in my family sometimes, and then you see 30 liberated people, or 20, or whatever the number is, raising their hands and saying, me too, me too. That's a different me too move, but that's the me
Yeah.
too, feeling free to talk about what's going on without judgment. And that's why I wanted to say that here we're not to judge anyone. We're more to enlighten ourselves, to work with ourselves, to become better parents, because there is no such thing as a perfect parent or a perfect parenting styles. And sometimes we kind of mix and match, and we use different skills from different parenting styles, and we adapt and we evolve as well. And I wanted to talk about another parenting style, perhaps less well known than the helicopter parenting. This is the lawn mower parenting. It's like, mowing the lawn to clean, to make the grass even and clean, and have this, nicely groomed backyard with a very green grass, and to have things perfect. And that's the style of parenting where parents want to go to great lengths to clear every obstacle and challenge from their child's path. It's a little bit like helicopter parenting, but the difference here is that the parent does come in like this, ready to fight, ready to step up and to clear the child's path. So they're more focused. This is the type of parent who's more focused on changing in clearing the child's path. That would be the parent who's afraid, who's foreseeing possible obstacles. So they have a first grader and they try to think, okay, they need to learn their addition very fast and get straight A's in addition, because when they get into high school, how are they going to take high math? Well, they're in first grade though, so we don't have to really put all that much effort and clear the way for what's going to happen in high school. We still have several years ahead of us. But that would be the type of parent who goes to the teacher and complains all the time. And I'm not talking about the legitimate complaints. I'm talking about, oh, why did my kid didn't get an A plus and they got just a straight A? Oh, why is my kid sitting on the second row? I want my kid to sit on the first row. Why did this student did this and my daughter, my son wasn't allowed to do that? They do try to ensure their child's success, obviously, but that can really have negative consequences on the development of the child, because
I don't understand. I'm sorry, I don't understand the difference between this type of
the
parent and the
helicopter is
helicopter.
kind of
Or
above the head of the child to kind of tell them, okay, let me rip off the page from your notebook because your letters are not formed very well, so you need to write clear letters, and nice big. I'm talking now. I'm giving
okay,
kind of a stereotypical elementary school example. So they would be right there to kind of help the kid do the best, or the parent says, no, 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 you are not to do it this way. Let me do it for you so that it looks perfect. Because if I let you, I don't know, do the whatever art or a craft for school, you're not going to do it as well. But I'll do it to make sure that it's perfect and you get the perfect grade. That's helping. The lawnmower parent is a little bit different. They always push. It's the parent who would go to the teacher and tell them, look, my kid is very special. My kid is the smartest kid in class. Therefore, I want you to give them this, that, X, Y, and Z thing. It's the parent who's going to go to the coach and say, why didn't my kid make it into the whatever, the tennis team, the basketball varsity? My kid is better than the others. Give them a chance. They had a bad day, but they do it all the time. It's not one instance. They try to clear the path for their kid.
And
I
which
think
parent
these are
puts more
the parents.
pressure?
The lawnmower parenting style puts more pressure on the kid and more pressure on the parent, because the parent doesn't really trust their kid. It's the parent who will always go ahead and say, hey, my kid is the best. Hey, my kid has this whatever type of problem. And they don't really allow the teacher or the coach or another adult to kind of see the child in their environment and decide, do they really have this problem? And as I said, sometimes it is a legit thing. Obviously, if we have a child, for example, who has an auditory processing disorder, a child who's in the spectrum of autism, then yes, of course, we need to let the schools know about issues like that, obviously. But do we really need to go ahead and tell the teacher that our child doesn't like chocolate and they're not allowed to have ice cream and they're not allowed to play with this child and they should be seated in the front row because they're so smart? Do we really help our kids like that? That's Of course, we want
Or
to ensure our child's success, but we also need to trust in the process, in the skills of the child, in their ability to do the best they can do to, to come up with solutions.
and what does success mean? Becoming an academic, becoming a successful businessman, becoming a loving partner. I
Of
mean,
course, and it's
success has
different
many faces.
for each and every one of us. And there isn't this kind of one successful thing or one definition of success that everybody agrees about. It is a broad issue. Yeah, I agree. And sometimes we need to think about it. And we know of so many stories of resilience. And in my work, I see that type of thing where children, adolescents, they don't get their first choice. Something doesn't come along in their path the way they thought about it. And yet they figure out a different way of getting to their goal, or a new opportunity comes, and then they have the different opportunity. Of course, we never know if the first one, the missed one, would have been better, but when we see our kids being happy, well adjusted, proud of themselves, strong, resilient, isn't that success?
I was wondering if we have any IB parents here, or parents whose kids are, studying to enter the university. Are there any
Me
IB
too.
parents? I'm one of them. Lisa is one of them. Rania is one of them. So I think
Yes,
this is the time of huge stress. Huh? And this is the time that parenting type can
yeah,
change, can shift to, because the
of
stress is
course.
put also on us, on our shoulders. And we find ourselves changing and transforming into these, I don't know, very stressed people who are looking through the universities and the ratings and which one is the best suited for my kid. How
Eventually,
healthy is
it's
that?
not a healthy thing at all, because that's the mood is something contagious. And anxiety can also be very contagious, meaning that the kid is anxious, we get anxious seeing our kids being anxious, and then we start overdoing it to protect them. And overdoing means um, that we try to solve the problem for them and we forget that there are other solutions. Many times, a kid who's struggling with the IB demands, or even the general high school, and they're getting ready to get into college, they start with the what if hypothesis. What if I don't get into my preferred school? What if I don't get into my top 5 schools? What if I don't get accepted? This what if is like spiraling down. And sometimes we join the kids in this spiraling down. It could be the IB. It could be, it doesn't matter. It could be a middle schooler. It could be a kid in elementary school who starts with these what ifs. And then their anxiety becomes our anxiety because we think I need to protect my kid from that failure, or I need to make sure that my kid is happy. Well, okay, they're going to be happy, of course, if they get accepted to this or that university. But are they going to be happy after that? Does this mean, okay, they got accepted and then what? They live happily ever after? How are they going to handle life's difficulties? And I assure you, they're going to have plenty of difficulties and challenges ahead of them. So perhaps when we see our kids stressing out, sometimes we need to just join them in a more optimistic view and tell them, well, you know what? Tell me about it. What are you anxious about? What are your thoughts? What is the thing that stresses you out? And then we gently show them that there are different solutions and there are different ways of getting to one's goals. And it's not kind of this one path that gets to this one goal. One can have different ways of getting there. And we don't know ahead of time which is the best way because there is no best way. But in our minds, we make it so very clear that it has to be this one goal, that you achieve it this one way, and that's it. It's not like that at all. And
What we want is to raise adaptable, resilient children rather than perfect
exactly.
children.
Yes, and children who believe, and that's kind of, guess, the definition of resilience, the ability to believe in yourself, to have a realistically optimistic view. And when I say being an optimist, I don't mean I'm not going to study, but I'm going to get into, an Ivy League school. Obviously, that's not optimism. That's kind of, being out of touch with reality. But being an optimist means that, hey, I study, I do hard work, and I'm gonna get in somewhere. And yes, I have these abilities, these skills and strengths. And yes, I know there's gonna be something there for me. I just don't know what exactly yet. So we start using language like that with our kids. We use the power of yet. This hasn't happened yet. We help them distinguish what is real in the here and now, that I have a lot of work to do, that I have a very challenging, whatever, research to do or paper to write. But that's in the here and now. That doesn't say anything about the future. And if it has to say anything, I work with kids who are now college students, and they tell me how much it helped them, this rigorous study, because they can read and write in English a lot better, and they have more scientific thinking and more structured thinking. So all their troubles in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade paid off.
So for the people who have just joined, we're here with Dr. Liza Varvogli. Thank you for joining again to talk about the two parenting types, the helicopter parent and the
Lawn mower,
say again,
like how we mow
the
the lawn. That, yes, the
the
perfectionist who wants
perfectionist.
to.
The perfectionist, okay, parent. And we will have more types to
Yes,
discuss about, right, Lisa? This is just the first session, and from what I
yes.
see, so many people have joined. Please write your questions. If you see a little question mark on the bottom of your screen, you can click it and write your questions there. Lisa
Yes.
will be more than happy to answer. But we're planning to have also more
Well,
sessions. Lisa,
yes,
do you
yes.
want to talk a
Our
little
big
bit about our
plan is to
plans?
have a
Yeah.
parenting class where we're gonna talk in a non-judgmental way about parenting styles, and each one of us will figure their own parenting style, what we need to get rid of because we no longer use it or we realize it's no longer useful for us, and pick up new skills, better skills, and kind of, become better at our parenting. But also, while we do that, we need to pay some attention to our precious selves and invest a little bit on us, because the saying that says you can't pour from an empty cup. Well, that's true. We can't give to our kids if we don't feel well, if we're not taking care of ourselves. So parenting is not about giving skills and tools to our children. It's also giving ourselves self-love, perhaps some compassion for the mistakes that we've probably made along the way, and also giving ourselves the hope that we can always become better and that it's never too late. So in this parenting class that we're gonna announce, I think for later in March or beginning of April,
Yeah.
we're going to do exactly that. Learn new skills, learn new tools, and become, why not, the best version of the parents we are.
Pooja is asking, is there a perfect parenting style?
Not discovered yet, dear Pooja, not discovered yet. There isn't. Although I guess people concur and science concurs. If you see all the scientific research that being the authoritative, the more kind of open and democratic parent seems to be the best parenting style. But you don't want to be the permissive parent, which is the laissez-passer, laissez-faire, the parent who doesn't put any boundaries, never says no, always says yes to the kid, and always kind of caters to their every whim and wish. That's not a good parenting style. On the other end of the continuum, the very strict parent, the authoritarian parent, that's also another extreme. That's the super strict parent, who's kind of the type of, and excuse my, the word military strictness type of parent. Military is good in the military, but not, you cannot be, in your home, a colonel in your home. That's also not a good parenting style. The authoritative parenting style is the parenting style where the parent is close to the kid, there is discussion, there are boundaries, there is love, but there is also fair parenting, and there is also some negotiation. So it's not my way or the highway, and it's not, oh yes, my kid, you do as you please, whatever, and you can light the house on fire. No, it's kind of the middle grounds, and that's perhaps the most helpful style.
You said so. You said to sum this up, you said that the authoritative style is the best, let's say, parenting style. So it's the authoritative against the authoritarian,
Yes,
right? Yeah.
exactly. The authoritarian is kind of the very strict,
Mhm.
almost to the point of being unreasonably strict. The authoritarian parent would say, no, you're not going to do this because you're only 12, or because you're only whatever, 10 or 16. It doesn't matter. The authoritative parent would say, okay, let's discuss it. So you want to do this. Let's figure it out. Why do you want to do this? Who's going to be there? What's the plan? So they figure out a solution. So it's not, this blanket statement, no, you're not going to do it. You're not going to get a phone till you become 18. Because, okay, think about it, even in this example, till you become 18. And how do we imagine, if we say that to our kid, that they're magically at the age of 18, they're going to become, I don't know, knowledgeable of the dangers, of the correct use, without any prior experience? We need to give them that experience under conditions. And the same goes to going to a party, to staying up late, going out with friends, taking public transportation. Of course, it's one thing to take public transportation at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and a totally different thing if they want to catch the last train from downtown Athens or downtown any major city. The authoritative parent would sit down and discuss it and put boundaries and rules and restrictions, but in a kind of in a loving manner and with discussion and respect for the kid. And it's not like I bang my hand on the table and say, because I say so. That would be the authoritarian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have my
Liza, I know you have
class
a
starting at
lecture.
7 o'clock.
Okay, so we shouldn't.
Me
I
too.
had a great time. I think that it was extremely interesting, our discussion,
Well,
and we should repeat it
I would
very
love
soon.
to, and I think it would be super interesting if people wanted to maybe DM their questions so that we can have
Yes,
another
please.
session um, about how we do all that and about how we do the parenting.
And we have other topics as well to discuss about the TCK kids, the
Mm-hmm.
third culture kids who have lived in different countries and feel that they don't belong anywhere, and the CCK kids, the ones who have the cross-culture kids who are always in contact, in continuous communication with kids who are from different cultures. So we have many topics to discuss and to analyze, and I think it's a great opportunity
Yes,
for us to do
definitely. And I
so.
think we need to do one session about parenting ourselves and, getting the skills, the stress management skills that we all need as parents so that is not to lose it, not to yell, not to feel resentful, not to get mad at our kids, or if we feel our feelings, to be able to contain them and feel good about about who we are and what type of parents we are. So hopefully that's going to be another session. Thank you so very much for this invitation.
Definitely. Thank you, Lisa. It was amazing. And thank you, everyone, for joining. And we'll meet very soon. And stay tuned because we will be posting our session with Lisa and our workshop that we're
Bye
going to plan very soon.
bye, everyone.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone. Thank you so much.